shall be allowed a total of 10 minutes for presentation of data, evidence, and opinion concerning the zoning decision. If all 10 minutes are not used, the proponent's remaining time shall be reserved for rebuttal. Opponents of each proposed zoning decision shall be allowed a total of 10 minutes for the presentation of data and evidence and opinion concerning each of the zoning decisions. Presentation times shall not be reduced but can be extended by majority vote, provided they are expended equally for both proponents and opponents. Anyone wishing to speak must come to the microphone and give their name, address to the city clerk. Do not speak unless you have the microphone and have been recognized. First item, public hearings, 3116 PZ 2020654 Chamblee Park rezoning and DCI.
Good evening. Good evening, members of council. The first case before you is the Parsons Deakin rezoning and DCI case. This is also a project that triggered what is called a development of regional impact. That's a DRI, in which state agencies that are involved with transportation also weighed in and reviewed the project, both Greta, MARTA, ARC, and others, GDOT as well, for the public's reference. There's additional information on these types of rezonings. The applicant is Toll Southeast LP Company. This is Laurel David and Woody Galloway are representing. The owners are multiple owners, and to read into the record the staff report and application that has all of the parcels identified for the subject of the rezoning. These are properties along Deakin Lane and most properties that are on Parsons Drive, it's approximately 30 acres that are combined. Currently it's zoned on R1 and a mixed-use business center. The proposal and request is to rezone to our PUD, Planned Unit Development District, and for approval of our Development of Community Impact DCI process. The development is a mixed-use community with detached single-family residential homes, townhomes, multifamily apartments, as well as some non-residential components and a trail. The PUD zoning district allows an applicant to propose their own regulations. So as part of the package, you have a thick packet of essentially its own ordinance regarding standards and requirements. The proposed planned unit development, the proposed PUD, they are proposing 166 townhomes, 138 stacked flat type of townhomes, 40 single-family detached, and then 365 multifamily units with a variety of apartment sizes. And then in addition to that, the PUD proposes 20,000 square feet of retail and commercial space. So as I mentioned, the regulations are proposed by the applicant. They include a summary of the standards that will apply to the proposal if it is approved. So this includes the maximum scale, that is the FAR means the floor area ratio, which says what is the scale of the size of the buildings in proportion to the rest of the site. As well as minimal open space, which they're proposing is a 20% minimum open space. They also have heights that are limited. These are the proposed heights for all of them. So that's the overall snapshot, if you will, of the standards that accompanies an entire book of specific regulations. Those regulations also include the type of materials. This is one of the tables from their plan book that is covered by their petition. The existing site is broken up as drawings, as you see here, of Parsons and Deakin Road. We have the actual proposed design in front of you. I just want to orient you that to the left of the screen, the left of this drawing is north. So the orientation of this is that's the north side. What you see is in the center orange wider line is the main spine that's proposed that carries throughout the site. The smaller light blue interior roadway is a series of alleys alleyway so that the townhomes can face in a manner that is more appealing to neighborhood unification and enjoyment of the aesthetics of any of the open space and trails. These are just some of the sketches of the layouts of how the residential relates to the non-residential, and then included in the pattern book are examples of the type of architectural thematics that will be proposed as they finalize their details. This is an example of some of the ways that the rules would allow to have a mixture of materials, of high quality materials, as well as an example of how the fenestration and other architectural features will speak to each other. And these are additional renderings of those types of elevations. Note that this is specifically for structured parking that is also proposed, the deck, so it will have architectural treatment as the code requires. These are some of the photos of existing conditions along the streets in the existing properties. And with that, I'll move to staff recommendation recommends approval with a series of conditions.
Thank you, Michelle. Anything else, Mr. Walker? All right, we'll start the timer for 10 minutes for the proponents to come to the microphones. Please come to the microphone, state your name, your affiliation with the project, and your address.
Woody Galloway, Galloway Law Group, 4062 Peachtree Road, Atlanta 30319. Here representing Toll Southeast and Alliance Residential in this application. You're familiar with the property. Michelle's just gone through a good summary of it. It's behind the Jim Ellis Porsche dealership. The property is an assemblage of some 60 parcels that combined make up approximately 30 acres of land along Deakin Lane and Parsons Drive. The site is currently zoned NR1 and mixed-use business center. We're requesting PUD with an accompanying DCI. We have also prepared a pattern book that sets out architectural styles and regulations for the development. Because of the size of this development, this has gone through a development of regional impact study by ARC and Greta. This involves a major traffic study and looks at all the roadways around the site. The DRI plan of development was approved by ARC and Greta back in June, on June 22nd. While talking about traffic, we just say up front that we are aware of the proposal to improve the intersection and North Shallowford, Peachtree Boulevard, Parsons, Deakin, where it all comes together. And our traffic engineers and civil engineers designed the site so that it could accommodate those what I'd like to do is turn it over to Chris Rudd, who has been who's led the development effort for Toll, for his thoughts.
Good evening. My name is Chris Rudd with Toll Brothers, 500 Amsterdam Avenue, Atlanta, Georgia, 30306. Excited to be here with you tonight. We've been involved with this process now for over a year. As Woody mentioned, it is a hair over 60 parcels with many sellers, but it's a very exciting mixed-use project, and it is truly mixed use. We've worked with all of you, the council members and city staff, throughout the process and have really had a collaborative effort where we've come together, I think, with some very meaningful changes to our plan and updates to our proposal. And again, it goes back to that core mixed-use elements that we have brought to the table. So we've brought the retail down around a traffic circle at to the north of the site. We've brought in a really cool farmers market area along the main spine road to the just to the left of the traffic circle if you follow the pink line down. And then we have a variety of housing types. We have stacked flats, we have single-family detached units, we have townhomes, we have apartments, and we're just really excited for the project. We'll reserve the rest of the time to answer questions. Thank you.
Manage all these things. So as Chris alluded to, we've made a number of changes to the plan as we've gone through the process to, we hope, better the plan. We feel very confident in the master plan and pattern book that has been developed and reviewed by staff. We've worked with them. They've been great to work with and suggestions and that kind of thing. As Michelle alluded to, there on the plan, we have 40 single-family detached units, 166 townhomes, 138 stacked flat townhomes, and then between 365 and 380 multifamily apartment units, and the 20,000 square feet of retail commercial restaurant space. And that, as Chris indicated, has been moved to the center of the development, which will create a sense of place for this development, and we think that's a great idea. We have a big team of engineers and architects and others that are here tonight to answer questions later in the agenda, and we'd be glad to do that. For now, I'd like to call on Sherry Graham, who is a longtime resident and property owner in the assemblage, for her comments.
Good evening. I'm excited to be here and excited to be a part of the community and to talk about rezoning. Everything must change. Nothing stays the same. Happy Valley was established over 50 years ago by Miss Sally Parsons, and she was a visionary. And now, the time is now for us to all become visionaries. It's a time for change. Happy Valley was once a thriving community. Families, friends, picnics, church, spiritual awareness, and now it's different. So we would like to see change. And we want to, change brings about, in this rezoning, it will bring about regrowth, redevelopment, rebuilding, an opportunity to see things differently and live differently. And that is what this rezoning means. And I believe that most of the families believe that it is time to change, and the time is now.
I'd like to reserve the remainder of my time.
I've got about 5 minutes, maybe 4 minutes left. 4.5 minutes left.
Great, thank you.
Now we'll go into those who wishing to speak against the project. Can you step up to the microphone, say your name, and we'll address.
My name is Matt Cook. I'm at 4076 East Johnson Circle, Chamblee, 30341. My property backs up to this property. I am not opposed in any way to this property in general concept. Actually, I'm very excited about having all this behind me. It is going to do nothing but increase my property value. I'm part of the property on the back of it, and actually, at one point in time, we had a proposal from Toll Brothers to buy another about 12.5 acres that backed up to this. It would be part of a whole plan. They told me it was a different division of Toll Brothers, but there is another assemblage which is going to be presented to this city council in the next 60 days. The site work has already been done. My biggest concern is the traffic, but it has to do with walkability, accessibility, and connectivity. Across the street from this is going to be a redevelopment. Granted, it's in Doraville, a large number of people. And where I'm at now, I have a shopping center, a grocery store across the street from my house. It's less than 3 blocks away, but I can't get there by walking. I have to get in the car. When I come out to North Shallowford, I sit 3-4 cycles of the light. The way it's designed, North Shallowford coming in there with 700 units coming out of the backside is not, I don't believe, from having sat at that traffic light thousands of times, that it's going to work as effectively as it could. this development needs another access or exit out the back of the development. Until that happens, I don't think this development is going to result in no impact in traffic because there is no other way out of this property. So my request is that the One Chamblee comprehensive plan be looked at as far as this development, but with relationship to a potential another development there, and as far as walkability and accessibility. If there are 750 units there with one exit out, the traffic lights at Peachtree are going to have to be redone into a manner it is going to really impact all of that area. So I would just like to see this tabled for a period of time until the rest of the area can be looked at as far as a comprehensive plan, and to look at updating it to include all of those things in total.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak against this project? Or opponent?
My name is May Barker, address 4134 Deakin Lane, Chamblee, Georgia. Mine is plain and simple. I just want a chance, this only opportunity that I can get to get a chance to speak to one of Toll Brothers before we leave here tonight. That's my only request. I would like to 5 minutes with one of the guys, representative from Toll Brothers. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hello, my name is Pat Allman. I'm here representing the owners of an office building at 2299 Perimeter Park Drive, which adjoins this property, and I'm only here on their behalf to let it be known that we would just like to be included in the development and the information that's evolved on this, and we are concerned of the ingress and egress of the property itself. So we adjoin that at 2299 Perimeter Park Drive, two-story office building, and I'm here representing the owners. So we would just like to be on the record of knowing that we are included in whatever developments affect our property. Thank you so much.
And the city clerk got all that information necessary, the contact information. Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening. I actually missed out. I'm on the supporting side of the rezone. My name is Keisha Pledger, resident of 4145 Deakin Lane, Chamblee, Georgia. I'm agreeing with Sherry Graham's premise that it is time for change, but beyond that, every resident that resides there deserves quality of life and public safety, and we've been missing out on that. So I would appreciate the City Council definitely taking time and really considering everyone that lives there and what they've been enduring for decades. I'd hate to see it go, but I'd love to see it change. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, so we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is 3117 PZ 2022178. 878, 1872 Hickory Road, Contextual Setback Variance. Michelle?
John.
What?
If, just to make everyone aware, we now have this meeting streaming in the other room. If anyone wants to step outside and watch from the other room, it is now available. Just wanted to make that announcement. Gotcha.
I'm not sure that they were finished. It looked like Woody had something else he wanted to say.
Oh. You want to use some of your rebuttal?
I'll be very short. Just want to address a couple of points that were raised. As it relates to accessibility, we certainly are aware of the issues, and one of the things that staff requested that we agreed to was to widen the sidewalk along the northern edge of, well, I guess it's the eastern edge of it's now a multi-use trail that will be a 12-foot wide trail that would run through the development. And this is consistent with the Chamblee Mobility Plan that y'all adopted, I believe, last year, and would run all the way through the entire development and would provide good north-south connection to either end. We also have been interested, and I know the City Council is interested in the potential of having vehicular connection. We definitely would like to explore that with the City Council as well. It's an off-site improvement, but we want to do everything we can to facilitate that, as well as facilitate the improvement the CID is making on the other end, which will address the current nightmarish situation from a bunch of roads coming together at one point that needs to be addressed. So with that, we'll just wait till later in the presentation to answer questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll try it again. 3117PZ2021-878-1872 Hickory Road Contextual Setback Variances. Michelle.
Thank you. The subject parcel at 1872 Hickory Road is seeking a contextual setback variance. The applicant is Sherry Fitch on behalf of owners Thomas and Emily Howard. The variance request is to encroach into the contextual front yard setback. That means the setback is determined by the adjacent setbacks, and they're asking to exceed that amount. The zoning is NR1. It's about 0.3 acres. The project is to demolish the existing single-family home, and they're seeking a construction of a new 3,256 square foot, two-story single-family home. The setback request is to reduce the front setback from 65.8 to 51.1. This would have the structure encroaching 14.7 feet into the contextual setback when it's finished. This would also include having a front stoop and a staircase that would be part of that encroachment. It would be a total of 51.1 feet from the front lot line. Some of the adjacent homes are set back, so these are large setbacks, as you recognize, and part of that is due to stream buffers that run through this neighborhood and some of the front yards, and that pushes other properties even further back than they might normally in the NR1 zoning district, which is only actually a 20-foot setback. Here's an aerial photograph of the structure. Here is the proposed site plan, which is showing how there's an encroachment into the front yard with stairwell. The elevations that are included in the packet, showing also the materials. This is a set of photographs of existing conditions. Staff is recommending approval. Staff sees that some of the landscaping and aspects of the neighborhood could soften the effect of having the new structure further forward. Staff is also recommending a set of conditions if you consider approval of it, including how to add plantings to provide that kind of softening of the overall effect. And with that ends staff's report.
I would like to those who wish to speak in favor of this project, step up to the microphone, give the city clerk your name, affiliation to the project, address.
Good evening. I'm Thomas Howard at 1872 Hickory Road, Chamblee 30341. I've been a resident there for 17 years and would like to continue to be a resident and build a new home on that site. I'm really here just to answer any questions that you have and any concerns. I'll be happy to address. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this project? Anyone wishing to speak against this project?
Good evening. My name is Daniel Connor. I live at 1866 Hickory Road. I'd be the neighbor in the picture here. If you're looking at the house, I'm to the left. I'm a developer by trade, so I understand kind of maximizing values of sites. And professionally, I try to draw that line when it negatively impacts others, and I think that's what this is doing here. It's just a slight bit of overreach in what they're trying to achieve. Contextual setbacks are exactly that. It's contextual for the street. There's a lot of information about setbacks from the stream buffer. That's a 75-foot setback, which puts you about 25 foot off of Hickory Road. So any claim of that is incorrect. The houses are built in the 1950s on the back of the site because they're 1,600 square foot. They're not 3,500 square foot. The change of the hardship should be exactly that. I think staff did a good job interpreting the fact that there's not a hardship claim there. I think this is a preference and not necessarily a hardship. My understanding is they've submitted another site plan to show an alternate route. This is just the preference they're asking for approval of. A second issue, which is probably more one of procedural, is I understand from the plans that are shown is they're looking to remove the fence line in between as well as a tree that runs between the properties. That fence has been there since I've been there in 17. And from what I can tell in the research that we did with an attorney, it dates back almost 12 years. So I think you guys are probably aware, and it may be a legal question, but Georgia statute, through acquiescence, proves that that's sufficient to establish a dividing line between the two sites. So we'll be filing for adverse possession for the small segment. It's about a foot or so between us and the fence, which will establish the property line actually at that fence. So if there's an approval tonight based on a site plan that shows the property line where it is, that can become void if and when that comes to fruition and works its way through the courts. So I'm available to answer any questions if you'd like.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? I believe the applicant wants to have rebuttal. Please.
So, being a resident of 17 years, I certainly appreciate my neighbor's comments. I certainly would have liked to resolve that over a beer versus in front of this panel tonight. But versus that, I did want to correct a few things. That I can actually say that the fence has been there for 18 years. The fence is actually my fence on my property. I can remove it this evening if I choose to. So I think that's really where the issue comes this evening, is over what we do with that fence. We're certainly willing to make accommodations to continue to have a dividing line or a buffer between myself and the neighbor. We have made that clear to the planning committee, and so we would be happy to have a conversation to be able to accommodate that. However, we do feel like that we are in keeping with the neighborhood, with moving our home forward. We believe it's going to be a great investment for Chamblee. It will be a substantial investment. We will make a substantial investment into our landscaping. So we will be planning on doing everything we can to, of course, make it aesthetically pleasing for the entire neighborhood. So again, I would certainly reach out to my neighbor to say I would much rather have this conversation in another venue. However, I would still implore you to have us this evening be approved to be able to have our variance. As he mentioned, we do have an alternative plan. That is a plan we do not wish to have, but we did go out of our way at the request, and we did that at the planning and zoning, and they said that they actually requested that we be here tonight. So we actually stalled our plans for 6 weeks tonight to be able to put this plan in front of you, of which they thought would be the better plan of the two of the alternative plan. So I'll be glad to answer any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Sorry, this button doesn't want to cooperate. Next item on the agenda is 3118 PZ2021 879 4142 Admiral Drive Stream Buffer Variance. Michelle.
Subject parcel 4142 Admiral Drive is seeking a stream buffer variance to encroach into the city's 50-foot stream buffer and 75-foot impervious surface setback. The zoning is NR1. The applicant is Graham Culbreth, and the owner is Sarah and Alex Pfeffer. This is the acreage of the parcel is 0.3 acres. The applicant is proposing to remove an existing deck. They would like to replace it with a 448 square foot deck and a 332 square foot covered deck. The existing conditions are that the lot slopes down approximately 25 feet in the rear towards the stream from off of Nancy Creek that's running east to west. More than half of this existing house and most of the existing deck is already within the 75-foot impervious surface setback, so it's an older home prior to the regulations. There is a small portion of the existing deck that encroaches into the 50-foot stream buffer. And the difference is the 75 component is that it's impervious. You can have movement and have some activity in that part of the 75-foot area up from the stream, but in the 50-foot buffer, you cannot have anything built at all. Any movement in it is the way the rules are read. So here's a aerial of the site, and you can see where the stream is running into the rear of the property. This shows a little more clearly with the blue marks of the buffer and in relation to the home and in relation to the proposed expansion of the deck in the rear. And it thought it important to show the existing conditions of foliage and vegetation at the rear of the property, the existing area of the deck. Staff does recommend approval of the variance with the conditions that include that prior to receiving a building permit, they would submit the mitigation plan to show how they would offset any impact on the stream from the additional impervious surface. And with that, that concludes staff's report.
Thank you, Michelle. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this project, please step up to the microphone, give us your name, your address, and your affiliation to the project.
Hello, my name is Alex Pfeffer. I live at 4142 Admiral Drive. I'm the owner of this property. I'm here today just requesting your approval, looking to invest in the neighborhood, in the community, in my home. Really just want to better enjoy my neighborhood and my backyard. So that's really all I have to say. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone against? Well, move on to the next item on the agenda. 3119 PZ2021 883 2364 Tanglewood Circle driveway waiver.
The subject property at 2364 Tanglewood Circle is owned by Courtney Keel. The request is actually for two waivers so that they can install a second curb cut and add some concrete parking area in the front yard. The zoning district is NR1. The parcel is 0.3 acres. The proposal is to install a U-shaped driveway with a parking pad located in the front yard. There are two waivers. One is related to having a second curb cut. Typically, you're only allowed to have one curb cut. And then the second waiver requests that the distance between those two curb cuts be reduced. The existing curb cut is proposed to remain. The site has a gravel area over where the proposed location of the new driveway and parking area is requested. The proposed driveway would be 258 square feet, and so this would increase the impervious area of the lot to 22% from the current 14%. This, the aerial shows, hopefully you can see that the location of the drive is very close to the intersection of Claremont and Tanglewood. So the applicant's experience on this drive is pulling in, and then first of all, you're pulling in and potentially abruptly impacting operations on Claremont. But second, trying to back out of the drive onto Tanglewood, you can see where that can cause a hazard. The proposal would be to have the U in order to go fully through, so there would be no backing into the street. We did check with engineering about the implications, and the city engineer was absolutely in support of that, of having the second curb cut as a way to alleviate any of the potential problems or dangers of having the current configuration. Here are some photos of the existing conditions. Staff does recommend approval of the proposal, just that the condition be to the plan as they have proposed it to us. And that's our report.
Thank you, Michelle. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this project, please step up to the microphone, give us your name, your address, and your affiliation to the project.
Good evening. I'm Courtney Keel. I'm the owner of the property. My parents purchased this property almost 60 years ago. So the area has changed quite a bit, and it began in 2013. I put that in my proposal, that the driveway is even like closer to Tanglewood than it began, and they redid the driveway so many times that it's impossible to back out or even pull out front first. That's when I initially tried to do the parking pad to be able to back and turn around and go head first. But even then, if you have an SUV or something, your hood is so high. I have spent an enormous, to me, amount of money trying to level just the way that it has been implicated since that time so that it's not such a pitch. The runoff, the retaining wall was removed when DOT and Atlanta Gas Light came. There was a retaining wall when my parents purchased the property, and it is no longer there, so it actually washed away the bottom part of the driveway. That is why the gravel is there now. So it has cost me emotionally and financially. And now my concern is just the safety of pulling in and or out, and even for EMS to come in and be able to exit the property without hurting someone else on Claremont. And Tanglewood's always had, it's like driving into a lake. But the pitch of the drive, everything has changed. My property has changed so much since this has happened that I've tried to do other things to keep this from being, is to do the U-shaped driveway, and there's a utility pole right in the center, so the driveway cannot even be moved over like a different amount of feet. I've considered all kinds of options, and I would really appreciate a variance waiver to have the second cut for that, and I could get my contractor on the phone. I don't know what else if I can answer any questions, but I would really appreciate that. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this project?
My name is Christina Roman, 3357 Chamblee Tucker Road. I know Tanglewood very well. I have an aunt that's been living there for about 20-something years. And this area where she lives, coming in and out of that Claremont at Tanglewood, going down that hill like that is very dangerous. And that's a very dangerous. I'm in favor of having that U-shaped driveway.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak against? All right. Next item, 3120PZ2021-888, 2140 Chamblee Tucker Road, a utilities waiver. Take it away, Michelle.
The applicant for this case is Alex D'Antoni, and the owner is Brad Hamner. The request is to not be required to bury overhead utilities. The address of the project is 2140 Chamblee Tucker Road. The zoning is village commercial. The parcel acreage is about 1.6 acres. They are proposing a 70,000 square foot mixed use affordable housing development. It's going to include 52 multifamily units and have retail on the first floor. The applicant is requesting the waiver from section 320-25 to not place utilities, including telephone and all the others, in the other, and to not have to put those underground, and also to not pay the alternative of a fee in lieu of into the fund. The site has about 610 linear feet of existing overhead utilities. The fee in lieu is required at $1,326 per linear foot. So in this case, the total would be around $800 The applicant has reached out to Georgia Power for a non-binding estimate. It has not yet been received to date. Here's the location where you can see at Hood Avenue, the parcels that go up through to the corner. It is also useful to note that the utility pole that is at the intersection does cross the road to the other side, which further complicates burying of utilities. That's demonstrated by the middle photo. This is facing on Chamblee Tucker Road, the middle the middle photo. So staff does recommend approval of the request. We would recommend just conditioning it to the site plan that they have proposed. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this project, please step up to the microphone, give your name, address, and affiliation to the project.
Hey, good evening. My name is Alex Tintoni. I'm the applicant. My address is 211 Perimeter Center Parkway, Atlanta, Georgia 30346. I'm with Fuller. I'm here on behalf of the owner and the developer as well. Really just here to answer any questions you guys might have.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this project? Anyone against? That concludes the public hearing portion of this meeting. I will remind everyone that we will pick up these items under the Development Department Section C on the agenda. At that time, council will ask any questions that it may have about the individual projects.
Motion to exit the public hearing portion of the meeting.
Second.
All those in favor? First item on the agenda is call to order. Chamblee Arts Center Business Plan Phase 1 presentation.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. That'll be Tuesday night that we will have that presentation.
Excellent. Next item on the agenda is under City Clerk, approval of the minutes and is there any questions that we have on that?
No, but I hate to see them leaving. I don't think that they understand that the Parsons project is going to come back up again.
What do you want me to do?
Excuse me, people exiting. Can I just make a comment? One second. You can leave after I'm done. We've just had the public hearing on the Parsons Deakin Lane project. This is going to come back up again
tonight
in the
Section C.
Section C, and I would love it if you guys would stay because you've been this is a change in your baby, and I understand that your time is precious and everything, but this is a monumental thing, and I would really like it for you guys to stay and hear what we have to say about it, if you don't mind.
All right. Now, any questions about the minutes from the work session, August 12th, 2021? Any questions about the City Council regular meeting, August 17th at 7:30? Oh. And did I skip right over the, that's on Tuesday, my bad. Next item is the Design Review Board appointment. Who's taking care of that, Mr. Walker?
So we had two applicants for the absent seat. The seat would have expired on December 31st of this year. You had two candidates before you that are in the packet. We wanted to present that you have to consider two options. One, I wanted to make you aware that the board, although it currently has only one vacant from the sitting body, your code actually would allow another person. So if you wanted to expand the current size, you do have the option to appoint both of the individuals that have submitted their names. And if you choose that, also be aware that we recommended be clarifying that one of the people's term would go through this sitting body, and then you would go ahead and approve their appointment for a following full term. The terms are only 2 years. So we wanted you to have that option so the person didn't just sit for 3 months, then you had to come back in January and appoint somebody. And then the other person would have a different expiration date, or date that their membership would expire, because the code requires that they stagger, that their appointments are staggered. So that explains 2 options before you in the resolution to fill in blanks. One, if you just wanted the one person, or if you would like to appoint both of them to join the board. I hope that makes sense. I know it's a little convoluted.
No, we got it. Thank you, Michelle. Next item is under City Manager, the American Rescue Plan Act
Can we have some
discussion.
discussion?
Huh?
Aren't we supposed to be discussing?
You can discuss it if you like.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I didn't know that would need to be discussed. Go ahead.
Well,
My bad.
we have not talked amongst ourselves about this. These are 2 very strong candidates, and I would absolutely support the addition of another body, if you will, on the Architectural Review Board. So, however that needs to be worded on Tuesday night, I like the idea.
Yeah, I would agree, and I believe that she has 2 different wordings depending on what position we decide to take in the packet. So we
Right.
can choose that option. Brian, do you have anything on this? All right. So now we will go into the American Rescue, under City Manager, the American Rescue Plan Act discussion.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. For you tonight is just a discussion. No action needs to be taken this month. However, if you choose, we could move forward with one of these projects or more. Really, we just wanted to have this time to let you know where staff is in reviewing the American Rescue Plan Act regulations. We do not have a final guidelines or guidance from the Treasury Department yet. As you heard at the Georgia Municipal Association conference that we attended, there's some confusion and questions about what projects are eligible. What we have done at the staff level is look at this bill, look at the interim guidance that has been provided, and just giving you an idea of the direction that we're looking at for projects. We're open and hope that you would let us know if there are other projects that you are interested in, but these are some that we have seen that meet the criteria in the interim guidance. Just so you know that we have received our first deposit of funds. We will receive the rest next year. We will be receiving in total over $11 million in Rescue Plan Act funds. Those funds can be used for any costs beginning in March of this year that were accrued beginning in March of this year. But they must be obligated, all of the funds must be obligated to a project by December 31st of 2024, and they must be spent by December 31st, 2026. So of the amount that we've been allocated, we've received half, and that's already sitting in a special account at the bank, designated American Rescue Plan Act funds. The projects that we have been looking at based on planning efforts that we have that the council has already approved, either through the comprehensive plan or the Parks Master Plan. Many of these things have all been rolled up into the comprehensive plan, but we went through and found projects that we felt qualified based on the interim guidance. The first one would be the Dresden Park Master Plan implementation. We do have a master plan to put artificial turf soccer fields on Dresden Park. This is in a qualified census tract, and a qualified census tract does provide for the use of the funds with some different regulations and rules and guidance than non-qualified census tracts. But I can say that in recognition of the negative economic impacts on certain communities and populations as designated in these qualified census tracts, the effort to build stronger neighborhoods and stronger amenities in those neighborhoods is encouraged. Also, the ability or the use of the funds for outdoor recreation is also encouraged. So this plan is in our Parks Master Plan, which we did later adopt into our comprehensive plan, and the estimate for this would be about $8 million. So that's a significant chunk of the American Rescue Plan Act funds designated to the city. I will point out that if council wanted to move forward with this project, it has been a couple of years since we did the community engagement portion, so we may want to, pencil in 3 to 6 months of community engagement as well before we went directly into design. So that's something to keep in mind in terms of timeline. A project like this, outside of community engagement, it would take us probably 3 to 6 months to do the construction drawings, to bring someone in, do the construction drawings, and then another 12 to 18 months to actually build the project. A second project or program that we looked at was use of the funds to purchase assets for the sanitation operations. Our sanitation operations have been greatly impacted by COVID. We actually still currently have people who are, or positions that are not able to work due to COVID in this department. So our current operation requires 3 individuals per truck to provide sanitation services throughout the city. One option would be to purchase side loader garbage trucks, which would be a single operator. You'd only have one person in that truck. Now, we would advise and prefer to put the 2 that were in the truck with that person. We'd like to put them to work in the community as well. So we see purchasing some Ford F-150s or 250s with a special attachment called a park can that we would put on the back of that, so that they could also go in that F-150 either ahead of the truck or behind the truck to pick up any garbage that may be bulk items or other issues that may be out there. In addition to that, there are mini trucks, mini garbage trucks, that also provide us with the ability to pick up about 13 tons as opposed to a normal truck of about twice that, roughly twice that. And those do not require a CDL driver. And right now that is appealing because of the difficulty in finding a CDL driver. They also are able to go into a little tighter spots than the larger trucks, able to make turns in different cul-de-sacs and so on. So this is another example of a project that staff has looked at. About $800,000, whether we go with 2 side-loading garbage trucks and F-150s and 1 mini truck, or go with 1 side loader and 2 mini trucks. That's something we're still looking at. The cost is roughly the same, but that is something that we are exploring, and we'd like your consideration on that as well. The final major project that we've really looked at in terms of, and these are all, we wanted to give you a range of projects, is updating the city website. The city website definitely could be more user-friendly. We've discussed this in the past. It's not something that we particularly are proud of, and we would like to completely start over with a new website. There is, in the interim rule, an emphasis on the importance of public communication and communication efforts to not only mitigate the spread of COVID-19, but to get information out to the community such that, you know, the need to call or come into the office is lessened. We believe that the city's website is the single most comprehensive tool for that type of information and distribution of information, and, you know, could provide a critical, you know, centerpiece for any emergency updates, as well as, you know, introduction of new programs and information. So this one is roughly $96,000 in terms of first year implementation, and then roughly, you know, $26,000 every year thereafter. We would just be looking for the $96,000 out of the American Rescue Plan funds. Now, there are other programs and projects that we've looked at. Again, they fall into kind of similar categories. Improved video production of council meetings. There's some cameras that we can purchase for that and software. Dresden Drive sidewalks. Again, it's in a qualified census tract area and provides that connectivity and outdoor use. There's the Johnson Road South Extension, Dresden East Utility Corridor Trail, which again is outdoor use, and then improvements to the MARTA Detention Pond Rail Trail Park. That's really, the interim guidance gives local governments the ability to use these funds for sanitation purposes and stormwater sanitation, stormwater capacity, and the ability to handle that is considered a use that's available. Obviously, we put a lot together just to kind of start the discussion and to give you some idea of what we have seen in our current plans that meet what is in the interim guidance, and we expect the final guidance to be issued by November. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, John. Any questions?
Yeah, so we're really just waiting for the final guidance to cut the ribbon.
We do not have to wait for final guidance to begin with these projects. We feel comfortable that these meet what will be in the final guidance because of what's been said in the interim guidance. So we don't have to wait for final guidance on projects like this.
I don't want to wait another minute.
Do any of these projects play closer to the edge than others, or are they all pretty?
I would ask Kristen if you have any thoughts on that.
All the justification on each of these projects came directly from the interim final rule. So I feel pretty confident that each of the ones, we were pretty conservative in looking at it just because we didn't want to have any heartburn with the federal government. So I don't believe that any of these are on the edge. We didn't get too creative with it. So, you know, unless they change anything significantly in the final guidance, I don't think so.
Thank you.
And I will point out that even if we decide to move forward with something, we believe the final guidance will be issued in plenty of time for us to pull back if need be.
But you're not looking for us to move forward with any of this on Tuesday, right?
There's no need for us to move forward with anything. We just put this out for discussion. And again, if you wanted to move forward with something, I think we could, but there's no need to do that.
Other than a burning desire.
Burning desire, but I'd like to have a lot more discussion on, this is kind of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I just want to make sure that we make the best use of it. So I'd like to have a lot more discussion on that.
I feel the same, Brian, so thank you. Anything else? All right. Where are we on that? So another item second item under City Manager, the Rideshare Area Park.
Thank you, Mayor. We do have for your education and feedback tonight, the Rideshare Area Park, which is located on Peachtree Road. This is an area that previously was pavement during the construction and issues with our project on Peachtree Road streetscape. This area was torn up. Prior to putting it back into, the shape that it was in, we wanted to take the opportunity, before we just put more pavement down, to really explore what we could do here. So one of the things we looked at was, a ride share option. This could be an area that is designated in the maps and in the apps, I should say, that if you say you want to be picked up or you want to be dropped off, in Chamblee, in this area, it would, drive you to this location and suggest this location. It would just be a pull in. This is just a concept. We obviously would go through a process to determine, the final design. But the idea here is just that you have an area for a car to pull into. This has been done in several other downtown areas. And then, a park with, some seating for people to enjoy either, a table, if they want to eat lunch out there or during the day, or just have a place to sit during the day, or if they want to sit to wait on a car. And then the idea that we had was also to have some elements, some structural elements that would be artistic in nature, whether it's this one in particular has a screen, laser cut screen that could be done at the back of the property. I didn't include a picture of some of the potential images of that, but that's something that could be explored by our arts committee, or we could put some structural elements here as well.
Is that it?
It is.
Any questions?
I know that this is just conceptual. I like the idea. It's interesting how when architectural plans are drawn up, how much can fit in such a small area. But it would be great if all this could fit. But this would be just for Uber and Lyft, or just for anybody that...
It would be a drop-off, pickup location.
And there would be no idling
right
for more than 5 seconds
well,
or whatever. And there'd be a right in, right out, left in, right out only.
It'd just be a pull in, pull out. Yeah.
Because I can see that this the exit would be a pretty big conflict with the intersection there, especially when the project comes out of the ground for the apartments, mixed use that's going in on that road.
And the, again, we would want to put a little bit more thought into what exactly this design was, and if council would like to move forward on Tuesday night, what we would ask is that our Kimley Horn would provide us with a couple of different concepts for consideration before moving forward. And we have a cost estimate on this of about $27,000 to do the concept and the engineering. So they could provide that concept to us, and we can move forward with whichever we prefer.
Okay.
Any questions, Brian? I'll just say, as much as I love this, I sure hate to not take the opportunity to create more parking spaces. And I know that area is actively being used as renegade parking, such that it is. But so I'm a little bit torn. I'm a little bit torn on that. So yeah, but still, I have to think on that one.
Okay.
Next item on the agenda is 2022 employee benefits renewal.
Hello. Good evening. My name's my name's Leah Shuford. I'm from Peachtree Benefit Group, and this is Rebecca Ritchie. Hello. We're both from Peachtree Benefit Group. So we're your employee benefits brokerage. So every year we come talk about the upcoming renewal and marketing summary for the 2022 benefits. Okay. Okay, so we're going to start with a renewal recap of the upcoming year. So currently, the City of Chamblee has Cigna for your medical, dental, and vision insurance. We have worked with Cigna to negotiate and revise the medical renewal to not increase at all, so a 0% increase on the medical coverage for the next year. The dental is a 6% increase, and then vision is not increasing at all as well. With that offer, Cigna is offering a $15,000 wellness fund that is to be used in the year of 2022 on wellness incentives, lunch and learns, biometric screenings, flu shot clinics, or health fairs. And a $30,000 technology and implementation fund, which the past year was only $25,000, so it's increased for the upcoming year. Technology and implementation fund has in the past been used on Paycom and open enrollment and COBRA fees, and has been really beneficial to reduce those costs for the city. Ancillary coverages are life and disability coverages. We currently have that with Mutual of Omaha. Those coverages are in a rate path, so basically a rate guarantee until January 1st of 2023. So at this time, we're not considering moving those lines because they are not changing the rates. So flexible spending account is the healthcare FSA and dependent care FSA. We currently have it with EBC Flex. Fees are not increasing for healthcare FSA. And then lastly, Cigna included a program called Motivate Me Too, which is your current the city's current wellness program. So that has been included in the Cigna medical renewal as well. So that was a kind of a high-level overview of the 2022 renewal. This goes into the exact renewal cost, the percentage increase and decrease, and the approximate annual increase or decrease for every single line that we discussed. So the line of coverage, we'll start with medical. So Cigna is the carrier. It's not increasing at all. Dental, if we want to look at that one, is the only one that's increasing, that 6%, and that is a $7,277 annual increase for the dental coverages. Vision is not increasing, and then our Mutual of Omaha, which is the MOO carrier, Mutual of Omaha, those are not increasing at all. So the total increase for all lines of coverage for 2022 for Cigna is $7,277, which is 0.3%. Just a couple of notes on that renewal. So it's actually still $235,000 less than back in 2017 when we were considering moving or staying with Humana. So we're still way under those pricings, 4 years ago with our Cigna renewal. And then, as I mentioned before, the wellness fund, a $15,000 and $30,000 tech fund is being offered, as well as the wellness program. So marketing summary. So every single year, as your broker, we go to the insurance market and we get bids for quotes from all of the major insurance carriers. So that includes Aetna, Anthem of Georgia, United Healthcare, and Humana. We try to stick with carriers that offer robust networks and robust benefit packages that are similar to Cigna. Our focus was on similar plan design. We'd have many discussions throughout the year on the two medical plans that are offered, and whether we want to venture away from that or to stay with similar plan designs. So our focus was to match the plan designs that you currently have. Also limited disruption. What can we not disrupt by changing around the medical plan? Obviously, potential savings are always something we look at when we're looking at transitioning to a different carrier, and then also our technology and implementation funds. So those were the four main focuses when we are out to bid into the market. So as a result, Aetna was the most competitive by far. So Aetna has offered a robust package for medical, dental, and vision coverages for the 2022 planned year. So if we package the medical with the dental and the vision, it's, the medical rates are going to be 4.93% below the current Cigna medical rate. So a significant decrease in the actual premium for the medical, for the move to Aetna. I'll skip below and go ahead and touch the dental and the vision. So the dental was going to be 1.14% above current rates, but if you do remember, the Cigna renewal was actually 6% above the current rate. So that is going to be a reduction when you're comparing the Cigna renewal for dental versus what Aetna is offering. And then vision is a 2.86% above current rates. So then going back up to kind of put the whole package together with Aetna. So as I said before, we matched the plan design, so it's still the two same plan designs with the deductibles and copays and pharmacy copays. The network is the HN Option Network. It's a national network in Georgia and across the nation. Both plans actually have the same network. So, and have both in and out of network benefits. So I know right now with one plan with Cigna, you don't get any out of network benefits. However, with Aetna, both plans utilize the same network and both plans have out of network benefits. So that is one difference, and it's actually an improvement to the plans because they both offer out of network benefits. Aetna is also offering what they call a staggered premium discount for both January and February. So they're giving 25% off of the January bill and 25% off of the February bill. And we've estimated that's $91,000 in direct savings to the city just because of this premium discount that they're giving as an incentive to move to Aetna. They have also proposed wellness funds, $15,000 wellness fund to match the city, and then they gave a $20,000 technology and implementation fund, which can be used on any Paycom open enrollment fees, COBRA fees, or any carrier file fees that need to be adjusted due to a change in carrier. Going back to the wellness, Aetna does have an enhanced wellness program that actually gives incentives, and the incentives do not need to be used by the wellness fund. So that allows that $15,000 wellness fund to be stretched a little bit further, to be used for things other than just the incentives, to be used for biometric screenings, lunch and learns, anything that city really wants to do for its employees for wellness. And then also a program called Attain, which we've discussed. It's a program with an Apple Watch, and it's just a great incentive and wellness program for employees. Lastly, a proponent of the plan is a $0 cost share or $0 copay for any walk-in clinic, and that's a big difference in your current Cigna plans. We thought I wanted to mention here because that is an enhancement in the benefit plan as well. So this is a side-by-side Cigna versus Aetna cost comparison. So I have three columns: the Cigna current cost for each plan, the Cigna renewal cost for each plan, and then in purple is Aetna. And so I have an asterisk by the annual medical cost because I've included the discount bundle if you bundle dental and vision. So it's assuming that the medical is going to sell with the dental and the vision. So that premium discount's included in the Aetna medical premium. And then I've also put the staggered premium discount as a line item, as an invoice discount of a credit of $91,207. And then I've also put the implementation funds so you can see the difference between the current Cigna fund of $25,000, Cigna renewal $30,000, and the Aetna of $20,000. And so when we look at total costs, I wanted to look at the total costs of Aetna versus the Cigna renewal, and that is the cost difference to move the medical, dental, and vision to Aetna versus renew with Cigna is $202,456. So a significant savings to the city to move those lines over to Aetna. So we think it's we'd like you to consider doing that. So the cost, the technology and implementation funds, as I said before, can be used for Paycom, EDI file fees, and Paycom open enrollment fees. So our final recommendation is to move, based on the significant savings, we do recommend that the city of Chamblee considers moving to Aetna for the 2022 plan year. What I've showed here is I compared it, I put approximate annual increase or decrease from the current. So moving to Cigna would save $200,000 from what you currently pay now, and versus the Cigna renewal, it's like the $202,000. So very similar numbers here, but that's what this number is. It's 8.3% for all of the coverages if you move to Aetna for the next plan year. That includes the technology fund and the staggered premium discount. I do want to take a note, pause for a second to just address some of the considerations for moving to a different carrier. Obviously, there are considerations with the network. In moving any carrier, you always have some differences in provider network. That's always going to be a factor. Prior authorization for drugs and things like that we'll work with and educate the city on what needs to be done and make sure people know what the process is for getting everything done. Another consideration is there is such a reduction in premium this year. We're looking at nearly 5% reduction in the medical premium. There's a little bit of concern of subsequent years. We're talking, year 2 and 3, and how that reduction might factor in too big of an increase in subsequent years due to medical trend and inflation. So that's just one thing I like to point out as well, just a consideration or a concern of moving carriers. So summary of recommendations. So due to the significant cost difference between Cigna renewal and Aetna proposal, we do recommend that the city move the medical, dental, and vision to Aetna for the 2022 plan year. There's $200,179 total plan cost savings from the 2021 costs. And then we broke that down even further to look at what the actual cost impact to the city would be when we take away the employee contributions, and it's just the direct savings to the city. So due to the rate reduction and the staggered premium discount with Aetna, the city is projected to save approximately $149,629 when comparing the 2022 employer cost for the Cigna renewal. So I took what we would expect to pay, or what the city would expect to pay in employer costs if you renewed with Cigna for 2022 to what is expected to pay in employer costs for Aetna in the year 2022, and that's where the $149,000 comes in savings that's directly to the city. So contribution strategy, we actually recommend maintaining all employee payroll contributions for dental and vision. So even though there is a reduction in the actual rate, we recommend holding the cost for the premium payroll cost for the employee. And we did this last year as well because we ended up getting a reduction from Cigna last year. And what happens is if we keep where the 10% on all tiers, so employee only all the way to family is a 10% contribution. We'd like to keep that at 10%, but if the rate reduces, it will go up to 10.6%. But in order to get back to the total contribution from employees at just 10%, we recommend a premium holiday rather than increasing the payroll or decreasing the payroll cost per paycheck. That just allows for stabilization of the employees' costs year after year and not having to go up and down with payroll costs every year, but they still get or will contribute at the end of the day the 10% of the total premium, which is what the intent has been over the past couple years to move the employee contribution to 10%, and that will be done with the premium holiday. Vision is 100% employee contribution, so the employee costs for vision will increase slightly. There is no employee contribution or cost to dental, so those will not be changing. We also recommend maintaining $20 wellness, physical exam credit, and a $50 monthly tobacco surcharge that has been implemented year after year. And flexible spending account, we recommend to continue to offer the FSA debit cards for both the healthcare FSA and the dependent care FSA. We have now about 30 employees utilizing either the dependent care or the healthcare FSA. And as of last year, there have been no issues. Once we corrected using switching to debit cards, there has been no issues. And so we recommend maintaining having debit cards and also maintaining the 1,375 employer maximum to limit the liability to the city for the healthcare FSA. And this is just a illustration of the employee contribution strategy year after year, because I don't think I did a very good job of explaining it. But from 2018, we wanted to increase the employee cost percentage until we got to 10%, because that was what benchmark was. So that was the strategy year after year. And you can see that I've highlighted in red that in 2022, if we continue with holding the payroll deductions, it actually increases that employee cost percentage to 10.6, and that's where the premium holiday comes in to bring it overall back down to 10, but without having to change the actual payroll deduction. Anything?
I think that it's overall a very good strategy, and I think to be able to stand in front of any client, any city, and say we're reducing the cost again to the city, and even with this strategy in 2022, we will still be hundreds of thousands of dollars below where we were 5 years ago with Humana. And with healthcare trend and everything going up constantly, I think it's a very good position, and we think it's a great recommendation and a great offer from Aetna for you all for 2022.
And but definitely open to any questions.
You have any questions?
I don't have questions, but I do have something to say. I understand the cost savings to the city, and we're here to be good stewards of the city's money. But it seems like every year we sit up here and we go through the same thing, and every year our staff has to go through the process of changing insurance, changing providers, changing medications. And I'm going to tell you, just speaking on behalf of myself, sometimes it's a real pain. And so I think when we're thinking about whether or not to save $149,000 or $200,000 or whatever, so many numbers mentioned, I think we also have to think about the situation that we're in right now with staffing. And if we can make somebody's life a little bit easier right now, to not have to change providers and not have to go through all the medication changes, I think that's something we really need to think about. Because, again, we go through this every year.
I agree, and, employee retention is a thing, and it's costing us a lot of money to try to keep these employees and that kind of thing. And as somebody who's had to switch medications when you go to a different, and then until they tell you, say, well, tell me if it's not working, and then you go, 4 months later, you go, it's not working, and then they go, okay, you can go back. It's terrible. It's terrible, and I don't want to put anybody else through that if I don't have to, and I'd like to think on that, but that is a consideration I have.
So have we gone back to Cigna and said, hey, we're going to change?
Yes.
If you don't cut some more.
So they actually, the original or initial renewal was 15% above current. We negotiated down to 6%, and then the final negotiations after showing the full market and really kind of digging deep was a 0% increase for the medical. So it has been a lot of back and forth, and this is Cigna's final with looking at what Aetna is offering.
Yeah, because we do always give the incumbent that last opportunity or look to say, hey, this is where Aetna is, and it's likely the city may move, what is your best and final? And I think ultimately there's a cost to move, whether the cost is technology to the disruption of the employees. So we do have two good options, which is the good news. We either essentially have a nothing with Cigna, or we have a reduction with Aetna. And then it would be ultimately up to the city of, is that savings to the city worth the disruption or the impact to potential turnover, new hires, and whatnot. But the good news is with Cigna, they did come down at least to a 0, so we would be looking at essentially maintaining the cost with a very, very slight increase of the $7,000 to the overall package with dental. So I would say both are pretty good options when you really look at the state of healthcare and costs.
And I really do want to point out that Peachtree Benefit Groups has done a fantastic job of negotiating on our behalf. And again, they started out at 15% and went to 6 and went to 0, our current provider, and that's because they did a great job for us and really represented us very well. We have been with Cigna for a little while, so I don't know if that plays into the consideration. Again, I agree with the assessment that we have two very good options here.
Thank you. I think that's it, right? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the Peachtree Road Bridge modification.
Thank you. I wanted to bring this item back to council. The proposed plan for updating Peachtree Road Bridge in 2019, we went out to bid. We had a plaza, we had a new fence and some amenities on the bridge. Original estimates for that were around $350,000, $400,000. As we got the quotes back in 2019 and 2020, those numbers did not, work out for us. We weren't able to get those prices. And the last time we got prices for this project, it was over double what we had originally anticipated. So what we're asking is to go back to the drawing board and scale this project back to a pedestrian protective fence only. And this is a fence that you will see around the city of Atlanta. This is the type, it's a very standard type fence. It can be put onto the bridge fairly easily and provide us with the additional safety protection that we are looking for. It doesn't do anything to prevent us from making changes to the bridge in the future if we want to do so. So at this point in time, staff is really coming back to you with the recommendation that we go back to the drawing board, put up this fence or this type of fence at a cost of roughly $180,000, less than $200,000, to achieve the safety with a more decorative design on the bridge. That's something we work into our capital program in the future with some different expectations than what we had in 2019. It was a very nice plan. We liked the plan. Unfortunately, it just didn't work out for us. And now with pricing where it is, it's just not achievable with our current budget. I do believe that in doing this, it provides us the ability to implement some of the programs that we've talked about, specifically around being able to have events and districts that span the bridge, span across both sides of the bridge.
Any questions?
I don't really have any questions. I see that this bridge the fence goes all the way down to the bottom of the bars, so that's good. I didn't notice that at first. And I like this idea, and I think it's pretty nice looking, in terms of, but I wonder why we can't do something on this bridge as well, like a pop-up park. I mean, that would require a whole lot more than, they do it with bales of hay in some places, not to say that I want to do it with bales of hay, but, we had envisioned widening that sidewalk, I guess, if you will, and I don't think it would be a bad idea to put up some kind of a barrier that would enable us to do that and start utilizing that bridge the way we've dreamed of utilizing it in the first place. And then, see how it works. And I don't recommend that we do it in an expensive manner or anything like that, but I think that it would spur a lot of interest, it would be very visible to our citizens, and, you know, invite them to linger in that area and all of that kind of stuff, and view the mural that's down below and all of that as well. So, I would like to see that implemented, added into this in some way. Even if you wanted to do it, or have the Art Commission put that together.
Sure. I will admit that the primary focus that I had was to get the safety aspect